Hello there, Virgos. Welcome to your mid-19 tarot reading. So I feel like the rest of this month is going to be very, very powerful and also extremely important for you. When I was meditating on this reading, I saw three images for you. And you know how at the beginning of the month, there was that whole imagery about the cow that was getting abducted by the alien spaceship. I think I know what it means now. It basically means that there's a situation that I feel you guys have been clinging on tremendously, like just, clenching your fist, wanting a certain outcome or wanting a specific situation. And I feel like you might be refusing to let it go. You might be clinging onto it. And I feel for some of you, it deals a lot with livelihoods. It could be a job, it could be a career, it could be something that you really associate with either financial security. There's only one way to do things. There's only, one outcome that should come as a result of this. And that alien spaceship is almost like the people working behind the scenes, the universe, the divine, whatever you want to call it. It's sort of forcefully taking something away from you so that something better can come in. That's what it feels like to me. Because the first image that I saw for you for this reading is I see a clenched fist, okay, and it gradually opens up, and then as soon as it opens up, there's this white dove that flies away, and that to me indicates a sense of peace, serenity, as well as freedom. And the freedom just screams out so loudly because whenever we're dealing with a bird or we're seeing imagery of birds, they are messengers. They bring about good news. They also denote a message of peace, or especially a peace offering. If you've had long-standing disputes with somebody, especially somebody that you care about, somebody that you love, somebody that you can't really reach a stalemate with, I feel like that's coming in. But I feel like for Virgo and people, a lot of the peace agreements and the peace treaty, it actually comes within yourself, because we all know you guys can be really, really hard on yourself, and you're kind of like your worst critic. And I feel a lot of the times the cerebral part of your brain is what's really holding you back from really grabbing life by the horns and really, living your life to its full potential. So I feel like this sense of freedom is more about looking within yourself and releasing the things and the harsh criticisms and even the things that you have been dealing with, the inner conflict, so that you can kind of free yourself and kind of let it's like whatever will be. And that's not comfortable for earth signs, and especially for Virgos, to relinquish control in a way. It's not easy for you to kind of like take that and apply it to your life, right? Because you want a certain amount of predictability and you want specific outcomes, okay? The other message that I saw for you, the other two messages, they're very beautiful. So I see this woman. It's like a cartoon face, okay? It's split in half. It's almost like two pages. It's like two pages. Like you open up a book or I was thinking a notebook, like a cahier, which is a French word for notebook, and I don't know why that came up. So I don't know if there are a lot of French speakers who are watching this, but it opens up like this. And then one side of her face is drawn in. She has like red, fiery hair. The other part of her face, she has like, regular brown hair. And then there are also thought bubbles and pictures on either side. On the side where she has like brown hair, she is wearing like an office environment. She works in a cubicle. She does a lot of paper pushing. She has like a lot of books and encyclopedias and just, books on procedures and protocols and things like that. So the environment is very, very predictable, and it's very stable, and it's like very Virgoan. When I think of a Virgo, I think of like either a lawyer or a paralegal or somebody working in a legal profession, and they or even like an HR person who has to deal with a lot of rules and regulations. And then on the other side, where she has red hair, she's an artist. She plants things. She does a lot of scrapbooking, which I know you guys love. She does a lot of scrapbooking. She experiments with a lot of different recipes. She travels, and those are things that I don't normally associate with Virgos. And I would associate those things more with the polar opposite. The I don't want to say the shadow side, because I feel like there isn't a light and a shadow side. I feel like we're looking at things from different point of the different ends of the spectrum. And your polar opposite is the Piscean energy, where they're very, very artistic, where Pisces are very much, go with the flow. Whatever will be, will be. And, they're usually late a lot for appointments. They're kind of forgetful, kind of like head in the clouds, very artsy, and just extremely creative, extremely intuitive. So when I see that book opening up and one side is like extreme Virgo and the other side is very creative, I almost feel like you're starting to allow the other side of yourself to kind of like take hold, to kind of like not so much take over, but you're starting to let your hair down. You're starting to let go of control. You're starting to kind of like ease into being in your own skin, being in your own environment, and kind of like, striking out a path that might be a little bit unconventional. So I see a lot of people who might be traveling, who might be longing to travel, who might have a certain calling. You might want to go to France, for example. You might want to learn a new language. You might want to, pursue that career as a street artist in, the Parisian market, for example. So I'm going to use these because I feel like the cards are just flying all over the place. So that's what I'm really sensing. I feel like it's not so much about looking at things through a binary, black or white, light and shadow, and, opposing forces within us, but it's more like the process of integrating the disparate sides of yourself, the disparate energies within yourself. On the one hand, the homebody, but then on the other hand, the traveler wanting to, kind of like work with these opposing energies within yourselves. Okay. And there was another picture. Give me just a moment. I'm having like a little bit of a brain fart and I can't get the last image. It'll come back to me and I will relay it when it comes back. I'm having trouble remembering it. So I feel like the imagery about the abducted cow, it makes sense. And the reason why I feel like it makes sense is a lot of the times when you're at work specifically, because it's very prominent. This energy comes out for a lot of Virgos, like most prominently at work, because you guys are really, really good at what you do. And you guys are very systematic and methodical. And you navigate practical responsibilities with such ease and such grace, okay? You might be very good at driving. You might be very good at keeping your house nice and tidy. You might be very good at, responding to emails in a timely manner. All your binders, all your folders, all your cases, all your paperwork, everything is like tabbed and saved. And, you might have like a binder that where you organize all your things. So you're very, very much about systems, protocols, procedures, ways of doing, and, neatness, right? Because you're able to retrieve things very, very quickly. And a lot of other people in general and all the other signs, they have a lot of difficulties doing that. And so a lot of the times you might feel, especially at work, that I don't really fit in here. Am I the odd one out or is everybody crazy, right? Or like, am I normal or is everybody else just really disorganized and kind of suck at life? That's what it feels like to me. It's like you almost feel like you're this alien person transplanted on Earth, and that one day, your maker will come and pick you up and tell you, no, Virgo, you're not crazy. This was an experiment. We put you down here so that you can teach, the little earthlings how to be organized, how to be systematic, how to, create a system for themselves so that they're not wasting time, how to be efficient. And I feel like that's what it has felt like, within the past few months, where you feel that you have so much potential, but the environment itself doesn't allow you the right opportunities to display your skills. Not only that, you feel like your potential might be limitless, and the people around you, you feel like they're just settling. So you're looking at people through almost like a scientific lens, through this armchair approach. And you're just like, if they knew what I knew, they wouldn't make the decisions that they're making. Or don't they see that they're walking into a bad situation? Can't they smell it a mile away? Because you have also that gift of foresight. But I feel like it's your systematic brain. It's able to really project outcomes very, very well. So many of you, if you're thinking about like, what career would I be really good at? I feel like, financial analysis would be really good for many of you because you're able to project outcomes. You're able to make predictions. Okay. More like with numbers, with trends, looking at patterns, looking at trends, looking at, I feel like cycles. Okay. So whatever that means, it could be financial analysis, it could be a historian, it could be a political analyst, but the word analyst comes out very strongly. So I feel like your mind is just so systematic. And because of that, I feel like that imagery with the cow, it's like, when am I going to meet maker? When am I going to meet somebody that tells me, Virgo, you're not crazy. This is just an experiment. We put you here because you have gifts that we want you to share with the world. And you're supposed to be here to make it better. And you're supposed to be here to share your skills and your knowledge with the rest of humanity. And once you have fulfilled your life's purpose, then we'll take you back. We'll take you back to this place where things are neat and orderly and organized, where everybody's like you, where things don't, where you don't have a lot of, obstacles, okay, where life is not so problematic because of poor decision making, for example, from other people, not so much from you. So I'm still trying to remember the third image, and forgive me, it's been a really long day, okay? So please help me remember the third image, and if ever it comes up, no matter how long this reading is, I will relay that message for you, because I feel like the rest of this month is going to be very, very powerful. So you have a lot of major arcana cards here. 3, 4. And let me just go into the reading. First of all, we have a situation here where you are sailing over financial hardships, okay? And I've been seeing this for you guys for quite some time. And I feel like, you guys are actually usually very, very good with financial planning, with saving for a rainy day, with being practical when it comes to your spending, with being able to take care of yourself and buy only the necessities and not splurge and not, spend on waste money. Okay, so wastefulness is just really something that you have, I feel like, you've already mastered. Okay, like not to be wasteful or be mindful about like your carbon footprint, the trash you emit, as well as where your resources go. So I feel like in a previous life, you've already mastered this lesson. And so you reincarnate as a Virgo because it's already been mastered. And so the next step in the evolutionary scale and the sign that is immediately after you is Libra, right? And Libras, they can be a little bit indecisive, but they're very, very good at seeing both sides of the coin, okay? And once again, we're looking at, on the one hand, on the other hand. And this image is exactly what I felt came up when it comes to that image with the woman, the red hair and the brown hair. That's what it feels like to me, where you are trying to balance out both sides of yourself. You're trying to regain control when it comes to, on the one hand, I really love this location, but on the other hand, I want more. I want more adventure. On the one hand, I'm a homebody, but on the other hand, if I'm too much of a homebody, I feel myself isolated, and I want to rejoin that community of people. I want to have more fun. I want to make more friends. I want to form more lasting relationships. And then on the, I feel like as well, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, this job is really stable. I can keep progressing. I'm going to get, promoted next year. But on the other hand, does it emotionally fulfill me? So I feel like you're at a point in your life where you're weighing out all of these things within yourself and trying to find your center as well as trying to find balance. And I feel like there's this internal voice within you where you're just like, the clock is ticking, time is running out. Some of you might be in your 30s and you're just like, I want to kind of like, sow wild oats or travel the world or be a globetrotter or, experiment with this new job that I've always wanted to do, but I was too afraid because it wasn't stable enough. I feel like many of you have some type of talent when it comes to arts or something, and it was never the safe choice to go with because, financially, let's be honest, it can be a little bit unstable. But now you're at the peak of your career, or at least, finances looks really, really good. We have here the Nine of Coins, flying over your financial worries, getting over it, and having a lot of financial abundance for yourself, where you can invest, where you can see it grow in the bank, where you don't have to worry about the day to day living, where you're not living paycheck to paycheck, where you have enough financial abundance. And so when you're in this state and you're no longer in survival mode, and you're just like, what about that job that I really wanted to do? I wanted to work for, start my own NGO. I wanted to work on the streets as a musician, or even as a fashion model, or even as a photographer, or even as a street artist. But finances wasn't stable, so I kind of like left it on the back burner. It's gathered cobwebs in the back of the closet, and I never allowed it to grow. I never allowed myself to do these frivolous, and I'm going to air quote like frivolous. You feel that they're frivolous because they're unpredictable. But now your inner self, especially that inner child, especially that more creative side of you, is just like, that's what I really want. That's what I really, really want to pursue. That's what I really want to make a career. That's what I really want to go for. And that is what my heart is really beating for. Okay. So it's a really beautiful energy because I feel like you're coming into this sense of awareness, what your heart really desires. In your past years, it was always about the practical choice, the practical partner, the practical jobs. And now it's like I'm at a point where I don't have to think about practicality. Practicality for the past few years um, helped me build up that financial foundation, but my heart feels a little bit empty. And so now you're at a point where you can definitely venture out. We have the Fool. This is you venturing out, getting a new start for yourself, making a life for yourself, doing whatever it is that really internally your instinct is really drawn to. There isn't a rhyme or a reason for it. You're just drawn to it. You just want to do it. And now you're at a point where, you definitely can afford to do it. And you don't have to think of things in terms of financial stability or even practicality. You're at a point where you can take that new path and sort of like shirk responsibility and do something brand new. And I feel as well, there's still, this inner conflict that you're trying to work out. On the one hand, it's like this. Many of you have, built up possibly a career. You have, you're like a major player in your field. You're somebody who's well regarded. You're in a career track, a regular 9 to 5 job where there's guaranteed promotions, okay? Because that's the way that Virgos function. And you have a job here that you like. I feel like you like it because you're holding on to it, okay, and like you're hugging it, like you're still smitten by it. It still brings you joy and contentment. So this is like the homebody. This is the safe choice. But on the flip side of that, we have as well the King of Wands, and this is like the passion. This is the romanticism. This is someone who's very spirited, someone who's adventurous, someone who wants to do something new. But keep in mind, this is a king. This is not a page. This is not a knight. This is somebody who's well planned, methodical, knows what he or she wants, and they're kind of like the torchbearer. Okay, so this is someone one who has leadership qualities, who trailblazes, who inspires others, and I feel like you're kind of, these are the two sides of yourself that you're kind of fighting. Egg out a new path for yourself, edge out a new path for yourself, create a new path for yourself, or stay and just kind of grow with the status quo. Okay, I remember the last image. So I see this maze, okay? It's like a corn maze or like a hedge maze that you see in a lot of Victorian houses. And in the middle is it's a tower and it has like a red flag on it. And then I see two people on either side on the outside perimeter of this maze. And so they kind of like walk their way in and then they try to, um, find their way. And so when I'm looking at it, I'm getting like a bird's eye view. I know which path is a dead end, and I know which path is going to lead you to the center of the maze. So where you can get the flag and beat the other person. So whoever gets to the center first, gets the flag, is the winner pretty much. And so from our perspective, or my perspective at least, I have that bird's eye view. I know who's gonna, be quicker at it. And so the person on the left had a really good start, like head start. They're like egging their way in. And then along the way, they took a little detour. And then the other person had a slower start, but it's a little bit more methodical. And it's just like kind of drawing it out or mapping out the maze in their head, what they think it looks like so that they're not constantly backtracking. So they're systematic. And I feel like that is you because you're so systematic and because you're so like, I want to say, obsessively scared about making mistakes that every step you take, you map it out. Okay. I made a right here. I walk straight here and there's a dead end. So I'm going to draw an X here because that's a dead end. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and then I'm going to make a left here instead because last time I made a right, blah, blah, blah. And then that person on the right ends up getting to the center, grabs the flag, and the scene just kind of cuts out. And I feel like that's what's happening here. There's a lot of fear about making the mistakes, about is the timing right? Can I do this right now or should I wait a few more years? And I feel like what it's really telling you, what the universe is really wanting to tell you is there isn't a right or a wrong. Every step that we take, no matter how calculating we are, no matter how methodical we are in the planning process, life is not really life unless there are snags in the road, unless there are obstacles, unless there are things kind of like laid on our path. Because when it comes to life in general, adversity builds character, right? And I know you appreciate that because I feel like a lot of Virgoan people, childhood was filled with a lot of adversity. You were forced to grow up really, really fast. And even when you were like 4, 5, 6 years old, you were a lot more mature than your peers. You were a lot more responsible than your siblings. And by virtue of these, really good characteristics within you, I feel like the adults in your life place a lot more responsibilities on you. And when responsibilities are placed at such a young age on a person, doesn't matter who they are, the child grows up very, very fearful about making mistakes. And I feel like that's a situation that might stem from, the upbringing. And I feel like, mom and dad or whoever the adult was in your environment, they just saw you and they're just like, the Virgo is responsible. Let's have them babysit or, let's have them cook. Let's have, like they didn't do it to be mean, to dampen your spirit or to um, purposely make you fearful of responsibilities or make you fearful of making mistakes. I feel like they saw something in you and they're just like, let's enhance it. So in their eyes, it's like character development. But in your eyes, it's like, that's not fair, right? So what I'm getting here is we have to kind of like shed that old layer of skin and we have to allow both sides of our calling, our head and our heart, to really be in harmony and in sync and kind of like know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and to also know that whatever it is that your heart desires, that's where you're supposed to go next. That's where the universe is opening up opportunities for you. So we cannot sit here in this comfortable, safe, and very beautiful home, clinging onto these, earthly possessions, or even clinging on to something that we feel is really safe, is really stable, when your heart wants to explore and wants to try something new, and when new paths and new doors are opening left and right for you with this Fool card, okay? We have to let some things go. And in the process of letting go, I feel like this is not so much about love and relationships, the Three of Swords. This is more about the inner need to cling on, clinging on, holding something onto something very, very tightly, refusing to let it go, even though it doesn't really serve its purpose anymore. Clinging on to a situation, refusing to let things go, even though it's already there. You're in a safe environment. You're no longer in survival mode. You don't have to cling on to something so tightly where it hinders your ability to move freely, travel light, and explore and lead and, really enjoy the fruits of your labor. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. I have as well the Strength card. And the Strength card, this is a very gentle card, the way that it's coming in. And there's a lot of imagery here with Leo energy. So some of you might be on the cusp between Leo, late, early degree, like early days of her. So you might be on the cusp, okay? Where you're just like fighting these sides of yourself. On the one hand, it's like wanting to explore. On the other hand, it's like being fearful. So this is like the woman and the beast, okay? No one is afraid of each other. This is a very gentle card that indicates trust, that indicates harmony, that indicates just because we're different, we don't have to argue. Just because we don't agree, we can agree to disagree. Just because you have these two sides of yourself, it doesn't mean that you have to be so constantly in conflict with yourself. The two sides, the two opposing energies can be balanced out, as indicated here with the Temperance card. It's just a matter of having self-mastery. This is the Magician. Mastering all the elements, mastering the emotions, as well as the heart, as well as the head. Mastering the spiritual realm as well, so that you're not constantly in conflict with yourself. And mastering yourself in a way where you realize, I've done everything to the best of capabilities. Now I can kind of like, kick up my feet, have a martini, and have some fun and not feel guilty about it even. So letting the two sides of yourself work in harmony with each other. Because once you're able to do that, Virgos, once you are able to overcome that internal conflict within yourself, that's when you can move mountains. Because I feel like you guys are such like a fireball, but you don't realize that you have that drive. You definitely have the ambition, the hard work, the perseverance. But I feel like a lot of the times you don't realize how much of a fireball that you are, how much drive and ambition you have to get things done. You can work tirelessly into the night perfecting a project to make like to give something to the world, or to bring something forward that is like pure perfection. So if you have the ability, and if you know that you're capable of like, burning the midnight oil, working tirelessly without complaining to create something and make something perfect, then what's really stopping you from moving mountains? What's really stopping you from being able to get out into the world and just say, I'm going to do this because even though it's not stable, but I know myself well enough to know that whatever I touch is going to turn gold, because I'm just that good and I'm just that, I want to say, dedicated, and I persevere. So even if like it's like failure is not really an option, but I feel like you're not aware of how powerful you can be. And so you kind of, stop yourself before you pursue something, because you're just like, I don't really know if it's going to take off. But you should know from all your previous experiences that when you set your mind to something, nothing really flounder, right? You've never hit dead ends. You persevere, you blast through it, and things have always been amazing. You produce really good work. You bring forth really good ideas. And you, whatever you submit or whatever you create, it has always been very, it's like sheer perfection. You know that about yourself, but you don't trust that about yourself. And so what I'm seeing here is we have to overcome the internal conflict within ourselves for sure. But we're at a point where we are no longer in survival mode. We're at a point where your self-esteem is incredibly enhanced recently. So I don't know what happened. But you're at a point, you might have been, on center stage. You might have received a lot of positive reception. You might have been at a point where, you graduated, you have a really well-paying job, and you're finally feeling like, hey, I'm in a career that I really deserve. It pays really well. I like my job. And I feel for many of you, that was a huge self esteem boost. And we have more ways to go. This is not the end. This is like the beginning. So, whereas you feel I'm at a point where I make a lot of money and, I can kind of like kick up feet and just kind of enjoy it like a temporary stop. I can stay here and bask in it for a little bit longer. But I feel like the universe is just like, no, Virgos, you need to keep going. This is just the beginning. You're meant for a lot more. You're not meant to just create the pentacles. You're meant to, I feel, let it grow for you. And what we have as well is a lot of travel, a lot of movement with the Two of Wands. This is, the invisible hand working behind the scenes to move mountains, okay? Moving a whole globe. And so it indicates to me a lot of travel and movement, as well as the Eight of Wands, which is also fast, swift, like sonic speed. Okay, this is like moving and communicating and being able to not only, I feel like, not bound by your geographical location, expanding your craft, expanding your work, connecting with people from all walks of life, from all parts of the world, time difference, night and day, as well as traveling and working in different time zones, connecting to people from all corners of the globe. So I feel like you're meant for a lot more. You're meant for self employment. You're meant to bring these disparate forces and people and different cultures and, different ways of doing together into like one blended melting pot. That's what it feels like to me. And so there's some really powerful stuff happening behind the scenes. I feel like there's going to be a lot of messages, a lot of last minute travel that you might need to do. So, keep your clothes clean because I feel like, and the reason I say that is because I hate doing laundry. And when I have to travel, I have to like stay up really late to do laundry. And I feel if you feel the same way. And so, have some basic, like go to clothing items on the ready, so that you can pick up and go at a moment's notice, because I feel like there are important engagements, important talks, important conversations, important agendas that people are lining up for you right now behind the scenes, and you might not get catch wind of that until when, like, the week before it happens, the night before, the day before. And you kind of have to be like on the fly. You have to just roll with the punches, and you have to be here, there, everywhere at a last moment's notice. And I feel like is really going to break you out of your shell. Is really going to make you feel like, all the past 3 years, I've been planning every little detail. I planned everything down to the T. And now I have to do things on the fly, but it's so liberating. It's so freeing. It makes you realize that you don't have to obsessively plan and control every single detail, that things will be fine. I feel like for some of you, it's sort of like this. So you're going to see a friend, right? You don't have you haven't really talked to your friend. You don't know where they're living. You know what city they're in. You don't know their living situation. And so you might, kind of like tell them like, "Hey, I'm going to be in town. Where are you living?" And they're like, "Well, I'm living in a hostel." And in the past, you might have been like, "Oh no, that's I don't know about the bathroom situation. I don't know where I'm going to sleep. Do I need to bring a sleeping bag? Do I need to bring a towel? Do I need to, all of these logistical things." And now you're just like, what's the worst that can happen? I'll go visit a friend. If it doesn't work out, if there's no place for me to sleep, then I'll just rent a hotel room. You're at that point where you don't have to worry about the financial resources, but also you're at that point where you're just like, if it doesn't work out, then I'll go with another plan. then I'll do something else. It's not the end of the world. I don't have to plan every single detail. And so I see you a lot more willing to kind of like break out of your shell and your comfort zone, and a lot more willing to roll with the punches, okay? Take risk and enjoy the fruitful rewards as well, because there will be a lot of rewards coming in. I see a lot of relationship things here. So first of all, there is a fire sign that we're dealing with, in particular, a Aries and Leo, okay? Leo person and an Aries person. So the Leo person, they have a lot of plans, a lot of projects that they're getting off the ground. They're very enthusiastic. Okay, this is somebody who's brave, who's this is somebody that they will mention the elephant in the room when everybody else in the room just wants to ignore the elephant. So a lot of the times in social setting, being around them can be really exciting, but can sometimes be a little bit embarrassing, because they will point out the obvious. They will point out the thing that nobody wants to talk about. They don't put on airs, and they're just very, very honest. And then I also feel as well, this is a person that's really, really active, okay? So like they might, want to go jogging, want to go swimming, want to go mushroom hunting, want to go bird watching, and like all in one day. And you're just like, I just want to stay home and cuddle. I just want to relax. I want to watch, TV. I want to read a book. So I feel like you're dealing with someone who's kind of wearing you out. You're very attracted to them. Very, very attracted to them. And I also feel there's an element here about um, you guys are very different. Okay, so that's already established. But I also feel like this is a person that really, really likes you. You really like them. There's great chemistry. And you want them to slow things down. So I don't know if they're pressuring you into, taking the relationships to the next level. They might be, they might be showering a lot of like flirtation on you. They might be telling you, giving you a lot of compliments. And I feel like they're very honest, but I feel like a lot of compliments can make Virgos very uncomfortable. And because you're so critical, like self-critical, you might not believe that this person is telling you the truth. You might feel like, oh, they're just trying to sleep with me, or they're just trying to, um, you know, I guess butter me up and then break my heart. And I feel like it stems from the fact that you're so self-critical that this person is telling you all these great things about you, but you don't even believe it. Does that make sense? So I feel like there's definitely some things here that you have to re-examine within yourself. Like, why am I not trustful? Is it because this person did something that makes me not believe what they say? Or do I have some hangups, emotional hangups, personal hangups? That's making it only hard for me to trust people when they compliment me. Does that make sense? So we have to really re-examine not so much other people's motives, but we have to re-examine, like, why are we distrustful? Why are we not trusting? Why do we not believe these great things that are coming for us are meant for us? Why do we kind of like put ourselves in second place when we deserve the world? Why do we tell ourselves that, oh, that's never going to happen for me? When everything that you've done thus far has proven and resulted in amazing things. So you kind of have to reassess, where you're coming from, okay? I feel like there's somebody that could potentially be traveling if you are dealing with a significant other or like a crush. There might be distance between the two of you, Three of Swords, because somebody is packing their bags and taking a trip. There might also be somebody coming in from the past that might have hurt you in the past, and you're just like not really trusting it, and you're opting to be single. And then I also feel like you're dealing with someone who might be the life of the party, who's very free spirited, who's very smart. The magician is really smart. This is somebody that knows how to make conversation. They've mastered the art of conversation. They have a lot of suitors. They have a lot of admirers. They have a very robust social life. They might not want to stay home and just, watch TV. They have a lot of activities. Like I'm seeing a flurry of events around this person, and I'm seeing a lot of butterflies. Um, and that usually I associate that usually with like air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, especially Libras. And so I feel like for some of you might have gotten out of a relationship, healed yourself, and you're just like, I'm really enjoying life. I want to be single. I want to date around. I want to experiment a little bit when it comes to dating and relationships and so forth. Good for you, because I feel like you're going to be really, really happy. And we have the Two of Wands, possibly options for you to choose from. A lot of electronic communication for those who are single, starting a date, or even just single, doing your own thing. A lot of socializing, okay? A lot of opportunities for social engagements, just like left and right. And then for others, there's definitely a relationship here where somebody's moving too fast and somebody wants to take it slow. So don't let anybody pressure you into either being I don't need to, tell Virgos this because you guys are really, really good at keeping things at your pace. But I feel like if you doubt somebody, they have to have done something for you to doubt them. If you're just doubting them out of the blue, I feel like you might want to, look a little bit closer and look at the motives behind that. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. I hope the reading is helpful for you guys. I do wish you all the best, and take care of yourself. Okay. Um, and I'm just gonna, plug this in. For those who are looking for a reading or a reader, I do have a link in the description box below for a psychic out of California. Her name is Bridget. She is phenomenal. I highly recommend a reading with her if you're looking for spiritual guidance. And the link is in the description box below. I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.